very horrific. An NYPD detective punches a teenage woman. Here it is.
Come on, y'all is wildin'. They wildin', man. Y'all wildin', bro. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, bro? Bro, why would you do that, bro? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You hit up, man.
This teenager looks as if she weighs less than 100 pounds. I have background on the cop. I got background on the person he assaulted. Let's go ahead and put him up. We've identified him. This cop, his name is Kendo Kinsey, was the one who struck the teen during the incident. According to an NYPD spokesperson, this cop has not been disciplined as of Wednesday afternoon. According to the NYPD, the Harlem cops were originally seeking to arrest a man being sought in connection to an attempted murder. The spokesperson said that multiple individuals at the scene of the arrest interfered by assaulting numerous officers, some of whom were arrested. Now, before I give you additional background to the young lady who was assaulted here, let's be very clear about what you just saw. You saw an officer engage in extreme physical combat in order to do what? What exactly was he trying to do? Was it to detain a teenager? Well, that means his actions were excessive. I know many will push back and say, well, what does she do? You see, what matters here is that the force against her was not appropriate to whatever engagement she was connected with. That's clear for the record. Let's put up her picture. Her name is Tamani Crum. Ms. Crum, a teenager, is the one who was struck by the cop. Following the incident, you know what police did? They charged her with a bunch of charges that have been tossed out. They charged Ms. Crum with assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, and obstructing governmental administration. But when she went to Manhattan Criminal Court, you know what the court said? The court said no, that's not what happened here. And she was only arraigned on a misdemeanor, the latter, which was obstructing governmental administration. And she was let go without even having to post bail. No bail required after they reviewed the information. But you know what? This cop has a troubling past. Kinsey, the officer who engaged in that assault you just witnessed, Kinsey has worked for the NYPD since 2005. Has a history of 6 complaints listed in the database held by the Citizen Complaint Review Board, ranging from the years of 2014 to 2018. That's what we have on the record. Okay, they don't have access to all of the complaint file. The Citizen Complaint Review Board is New York City's independent police watchdog organization. 2 of those complaints were actually substantiated or found to be true for discourtesy and abuse of authority. The NYPD did not discipline Kinsey on the first count, but did on the second. So what do you have here? You have an officer with a problematic past of abusing his authority. He has been convicted by the Citizens Review Board of abusing his authority. The city decided to keep this liability rather than do something about it. Now, this cop will likely cost the city money. You see, once again, they're okay with defunding the police as long as the police are doing the defunding. Very interesting. Betsy Smith, the spokeswoman for the National Police Association, said about the incident, the outrage in this case should be directed at Ms. Crum for trying to stop the arrest of a dangerous gun criminal. And law enforcement officers in New York and elsewhere are finding themselves the victims of continual and unnecessary assaults in many cities, often with no consequences for the offenders. You know who received no consequence, madam? The cop who did the assault. That's on the record. On the record, he has received no consequence as of now. He did not receive consequence when charges against him from the Citizens Review Board were actually found to be true. And you're saying that people are the problem. Interesting. Let's put up the commanding officer of the 32nd precinct here. That is Inspector Amir Yakatali. He is the guy in charge of that division. All right. This is why we need strong citizen review boards. I have advocated for this for many years. We have one in the city of Atlanta. I have worked, I have fought, I have advocated to make it stronger. And I'm encouraging you, whatever city you live in, make sure your city has a citizens review board that has what's called subpoena power. That subpoena power is the only thing that can mandate a cop to actually come before their board. Now, while the Citizens Review Board, they cannot be as proactive in certain jurisdictions. For example, this particular review board has the authority to make recommendations, but they did not have the authority to affect actual discipline against the cop or fire the cop. Okay, but we at least have the record preserved, because when this goes to court, and I'm sure it will, when this goes to court, possibly that record can become part of either the settlement negotiations or the trial itself. Ben, thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on in that video without like more in-depth details, but it appears as though you have like half a dozen cops that are trying to arrest what looks like one guy. And it seemed like she was just trying to talk to him, right? It didn't even seem like she was going in or like, obviously the camera cuts out for a second, but it didn't seem like she was actively like interfering so much as she was like just trying to communicate with the person who's in the process of being arrested. And the reason why I bring this up is because we're starting to see this increase across the country. We're starting to see more people that are bringing out phones, more people that are actively interrogating the police as they're going through arrests, especially when they're in large groups like this. And the police are obviously frustrated by this, and we've also seen police respond to this with violence, but we have to ask ourselves, why are people doing this? Why are people interrogating the police? Why are people filming the police? Well, it's because of the behaviors of the police. And I know a lot of right wingers like to talk about personal responsibility, but the reality is if police departments are behaving more like a military occupational force than they are acting like a peace force to actually make sure we have safe neighborhoods, well then this type of thing is the natural consequence of their own actions. If police officers don't want more people interrogating their business while they're going about their day at work, being a police officer, well then maybe perhaps they should think about their actions and the way that they are behaving towards the community.
Well said, and let me remind everyone, excessive force does not mean there should not have been police interaction. Excessive force simply means even if police interaction was warranted, the combat or the physical action the cop used was too excessive for the threat or lack thereof in front of him or her. That's what excessive force is. And that's exactly what I believe this is.